Good evening, those of you who are joining us at home, and good evening to everyone who's here this evening. I am Kirsten Simpkins. I'm one of the professional school counselors here at Surrattsville High School. I have the honor and pleasure of being the college and career ready counselor, which means I work directly with seniors and juniors to prepare them for life after high school. So tonight we are excited. We didn't offer the program last year because we were rushed in with the first year that we did that early FAFSA date. This year we were ready and rolling, and so we are so excited to have Isaiah Ellis back in the room, who's here with us this evening, who is just an expert on all things financial aid. He works for MHEC, and we're going to talk about them and why we want you to know who MHEC is. I do have a special guest who's going to start us off this evening, though, because we know some of your babies need service learning hours, and if they are not in need of service learning hours, this is still a great service learning opportunity. And so we have our good friend from Camp Schmidt. We had two seniors, I'm trying to look around, they're not here this evening, who did the Camp Schmidt program last year, and it was absolutely phenomenal. How many of you, and I'm a Prince George's County product, remember Camp Schmidt, that fifth grade? And so Camp Schmidt always wants students to be involved as well. So they have high school students who train as volunteers to assist when the fifth graders go on their trip. And so it is a phenomenal opportunity. It's a resume builder. And then, as I said before, an opportunity to get additional service hours. So.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening. And everybody at home. I didn't know we were going to be live broadcasting, so that's a nice surprise. My name is Steve Hartling. I'm an environmental education program specialist at the Schmidt Outdoor Education Center. Throughout the county is Camp Schmidt. I'm stealing just a few minutes since it does not have a lot to do with financial aid, and I do not want to bite into too much time. I'm just going to introduce you to an internship opportunity that we have for juniors and seniors this upcoming spring semester. I will be back out in January, and I will present to all juniors and seniors about the internship opportunity. But in a nutshell, what we do is we have students from Surrattsville come down to Camp Schmidt and spend a whole day training with our staff to teach two of the lessons that the fifth graders learn when they come to campus. How to teach orienteering and woodland ecology. And then those interns will then work with 3 separate elementary schools while they visit Camp Schmidt. 3 shifts, they will earn 17 hours of service learning. They complete the internship and do all 3 shifts. That's 51 hours, which is more than double the requirement. And of course, doing above and beyond is always something that's highly recommended. In addition to the service learning, though, it takes them out of the role of student, puts them into the role of teacher, held to the same professional standards as that educator would be, who would have taught that lesson had we not had an intern. So the way Camp Schmidt works is those elementary school staff teach our lessons to their students when they're on campus, would then take on that role as instructor. At no time are they by themselves with the students. Going to teach that lesson is still with them at all times. They do spend overnight. They participate in all the wonderful Camp Schmidt traditional activities like our wagon rides and our campfires, and they have their special s'more treat and hear the story of Old Man Clutch and all of the fun things that we do at Camp Schmidt that are outside of, yes, we still tell it, yes, that are outside of our academic programming as well. So part of what we do is experiential. Part of what we do is educational. Just a little bit of background about the campus. We are a 450-acre campus, and we've been doing this for nearly 50 years. So we're one of the biggest around, and we've been doing it about as long as anybody else has. So the program is really great. It's part of the, we've had grandparents and parents come back and tell me about their time at Camp Schmidt back before I was born. And I'm like, well, I didn't know there was a barn over there. I didn't know you pitched a tent way back when, but it turns out that they did. So it's always great to hear of our families throughout the county have participated in our programming. So anyway, keep an eye out for me in January. Hard to miss. And hopefully we will have some great interns joining Camp Schmidt in the spring. And I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Again, we were blessed to have 2 of our juniors last year participate in the program, and they had an awesome, awesome time. We're going to have those students share with current students so they can get an idea of what involvement in the program looks like. But it is a tremendous opportunity for our students. So I'm going to welcome you formally to Financial Aid Night. Money, 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 money. That's what we're talking about tonight. Yes. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. With the 3 sheets that I handed you, they're just little supplemental sheets that we have for you. The biggest tool that we have with the counseling department is our website. That's surrattsvillecounseling.weebly.com site. There's a financial aid tab. And so there are links to the actual website where you're going to go to file your FAFSA. There's a link to the MHEC site. There's a link to the MHEC site with videos that you can watch that answer some of your questions. So we tried to make it as comprehensive as possible so it's a one-stop shop. And the sheets that I handed to you this evening will also be added to the website within the next couple of days, so you have everything there. And then if you have questions, please email us. A couple of dates I want to have you either put in your phone right now or write down. The first one is seniors. To know? October 1st. Yes. Who's your counselor? October 1st is the first date. October 1st is when that FAFSA window opens, and that's when we want you to file. And we want you to file, if you're not filing on the 1st, as close to the 1st as possible. Filing FAFSA is like getting in a line, and you can get out of line and have your spot saved for you if you need to update that form. But if you don't get in line, there's a chance you may not get the money. The state of Maryland, I dare not say it, runs out of money sometimes, many times. And so you want to make sure you're in line to get that money. It's important that you do it again as close to October 1st as possible. When I taught college summer here and it was January 1st, I used to tell students, don't party. And then you can go party because you want to get it done as close to October 1st as possible. We will have a work session for you. And this is the second date I want you to write down, jot down, October 9th, 6:30. For those of you who need some assistance filling out that document, we will have a representative here from the Prince George's Community College Financial Aid Office. They're going to come and they will actually walk you through how to fill it out. We'll be sitting right in here on the computer so you can bring your documents and fill it out with us on October 9th. We're working with trying to get the seniors to feed you a little something. Now, you know it's going to cost you because they're raising money. But we're trying to get them to actually feed us as well so that we can eat, fill out our FAFSA, and everybody go home and get ready to collect those huge financial award letters, okay? But that's October 9th. The other date I want you to write down is March 1st. March 1st, that's probably one of the most important dates. That's the deadline for state money. It's not the FAFSA deadline, it is the deadline for state money. And if your FAFSA has not been filed before that date, your child has lost their eligibility for state funds. And so we want to make sure that that FAFSA gets filed before then. But again, we're going to file ours like October 9th, 10th, right? Mm-hmm. First, second, third, yeah. That's when we file them. Okay. All right, very good. So those dates you want to make sure you have in your head, on your phone. You set a reminder so that you can get that taken care of. So the first sheet that I have is just a quick overview of where that money is going to come from. And those of you at home who are viewing, again, this information will be loaded on the site, and some of it is actually already there. First thing I have down here is the FSA ID. FSA ID, and told your parents to get theirs. Okay. So your FSA ID, and when I come back in I think about a week to do classroom guidance again, we're going to talk about it. The FSA ID is your electronic signature. Both parent and student have to have it. And it takes you probably about 10 or 15 minutes to set it up. And then you have it to actually, when you file your FAFSA, sign the document. So both parent and student, and that's on the form, need an FSA ID. If you want to know where to go to do that, if you go to our website, there's a link to the FSA ID page, and you just go fill it out. Now over here is going to talk about MD caps as well, and that's where I think a lot of parents, you may not get the information, so we want to make sure you get it. MD caps is the account your student is going to set up for you to access state aid, okay? And it takes them less time to set that up than it will for you to set up an FSA ID. It's a real quick application. And once they submit that, it's going to go through what MHEC does with your FAFSA to determine what age you're eligible for in the state of Maryland. I said this to the juniors today, and I'm going to say it to the seniors and the parents. 2.5 is the hot GPA for the state of Maryland to accept grant money. So right now, you need to be working with your baby. If they're right at a 2.5 or below a 2.5, we want to get there because they will not allow you to accept those funds if you don't have that grade point average. So you make sure we get there. Touch up your MD CAPS account, and then you're going to complete your FAFSA, of course, on October 1st. Now, where's the money going to come from? From the federal government, it's Pell Grants, it's loans. That's a dirty word, I know. Ugh. No loans, no loans. And we probably don't want to take loans. And that I'm hoping that that will be your last option because we've done enough work during the school year to qualify for some grants, earn some scholarships so that we don't have to take out a lot of loan money. But the big, the federal government is going to be Pell Grants and loans. State money is grants. And the Pell Grant are they're needs-based. So they're going to be income-based, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong, generally I tell students if you qualify for free and reduced lunch, more than likely you're going to qualify for some amount of a Pell Grant or state aid. University level, scholarships directly from the school, work study, where you have a job on campus and you're either paid in directly or the money goes straight to your tuition, and grants. I'll give you a little bit about the university level, and then I'm going to turn it over to Isaiah to talk about the state level. So university money, once you get your financial aid letter from your school, financial award letter from your school, you want to make sure that you make contact with whoever your child's financial aid officer is. Know them and know them well, and make sure they know your child. These things I tell people, get a Starbucks card, get a couple of them now, and every time you're on campus, hey, here you go. How you doing? Let's talk about how much money we have. And you make sure that, again, they know you and you know them. Because this is the person who can also help you access additional scholarships, grant money, and funds at the school. The other people you want to know really well are the folks who are the head of either the college or the school where your child is studying. Earlier, I had a student when I was in North Carolina who went to Winthrop. He got accepted to school and was almost $10,000 short for his tuition. I told him, set up a meeting with the head of the choral department because he's a singer. He set up the meeting, had coffee with the gentleman, kept in contact with him during the school year, and then magically towards the end of his application process, the money for him to go to school appeared to a scholarship because they knew him. He had already established a connection and a relationship. He wasn't able to get that money freshman year. There are tons of students, everybody in the room knows them, who freshman year may or not have had the scholarship. But by the time they started their sophomore year, junior year, senior year, they had accessed scholarship funds with people on campus. So begin those relationships. The other piece I'm going to give you about university money, because I'm having conversations with your babies now about where they want to go to school. I'm going to the moon, to the university. I'm going to, and it sounds cool to say, but here's my counselor piece of advice, okay? You want that amount at the bottom of that student award letter be as close to zero as possible. That's the goal. Because those of us, when I came in and I asked for younger people, those of us who are not in that younger people group, we know folks who are our age still paying back school loans and older. So you do not want to be in a position where you are 45, 48, 50, 55 with children, mortgage, paying back student loans because you just had to go to this particular university. A good solid fit for you, but you want that number as close to zero as possible. So my advice, look at in-state schools, look at in-state schools because the tuition is lower, definitely lower. I'm going to say this to all of our students. Look at HBCUs, look at HBCUs, look at HBCUs because again, the tuition is what? Lower. And I'll be quite honest with you, the HBCUs that I've worked with in my tenure in North Carolina and here are a lot more upfront and open about qualifications to get in, qualifications to get money. As much as I think it's the myth that they're not giving money, they are. They very much are. Our valedictorian last year is at an HBCU because they offered her the best package. Scholarship, books, fees, tuition, room, and board, all paid. Alabama State. And they will be back in the building this year to offer your baby some money too. Okay. So please make sure that you consider all of those things. Oh, other date that I want you to write down. And this is for the senior parents. October 26th. October 26th is the day for our Black Common Application Breakfast. We started that last year. Or Common Black Application is an actual company. And what the gentleman has done is he's gotten 51 HBCUs to partner with him. And for a fee of $45, students can apply to 51 schools. For us, because we do it as a group, he discounts it to $20 for our students. So on October 26th, we will feed them breakfast and they will apply to 51 universities for $20. Do is register, get a ticket, and how do you get our tickets, young people, younger people? Eventbrite. Eventbrite. You go to our website, get an Eventbrite ticket, and you're able to come to our event, and that'll be on October 26th, 8 to 9:30. Last year, and we had planned this like elaborate morning, like we're gonna be here all day because we figured we're doing all these applications. We started at 8. What, like an hour later? An hour. All the kids were done with their applications. We were eating and we were wrapping up. End of first period, your child will have applied to 51 different schools. That's where we saw our most acceptances last year. And the young lady, I think she wouldn't mind me sharing, who was our valedictorian last year, had a lot of offers, but probably about $300,000 of her offers came from doing that Black Common Application. So please make sure your children are in the room that morning.
Can parents attend those students only?
You can, but there's really, I wouldn't see a reason for parents, only because the application is shorter than most schools' applications. It probably takes them no more than 10 or 15 minutes to complete, and we'll let them know the information they need up front. Because I think the social security number may be the only identifying piece of information they need. And we've had students text their parents from the media center before, and parents texted back and they put it in and delete the text. So yeah, it's an easy process. Yes.
Is it an essay requirement?
For some schools, and that's school-based. Some schools will require an essay or may require the writing portion of the SAT, but the school, you and your student will work that out as to what each school requires.
I mean, at the common event, I was wondering if there was an essay requirement.
Oh no, not that morning. No, it will be school by school, and there are very few schools on that list that require an essay.
Okay.
Very few schools. It's the application. We go in and upload their transcripts and their test scores, and we're done. And what we asked them to do last year is they printed their test scores and brought them with them. So I literally walked around to my office and uploaded everything. Or after they had applied, schools were already reviewing their applications. Program, and we're hoping you participate. Hopefully, parents, you were able to participate in our first conference call. Senior parents, yay. We're going to continue to do that. It was so convenient because I was at my son's football practice while I led the conference call. Junior parents will be on the phone tomorrow night. Parents, same phone number, same access code, and we'll be doing those throughout the year just because they are so convenient. I know your schedules are crazy. I want to honor your time and not have you in the building like once a month when we can do something different. Yes. So if you go to our website, it's the wrattsvillecounseling.weebly.com. Right on the home page, the junior stuff is already loaded. So if you click on the junior conference call, the sheet comes up with the number and the access code. Counseling.weebly.com. And I think, what did it take us? Say like 45 minutes? Mm-hmm. And we were done. No, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, we did. We both guarded the PCSA meeting at the same time. I'm sorry. We'll do another one. We will do another one, especially as we get close to I'm going to do one right before October 1st so the parents get all this FAFSA information. Okay. Any other questions? So the other two sheets real quick. A financial aid checklist, just so you know, this is what I need to do. So again, get your FSA ID, get your MD CAPS account, scholarships for as many as possible. So here's the deal. Those students that you hear about who have those they have $1 million in scholarships, and you hear the graduations, it's because, and there's no other way to say this, but it's because they did the work. They did the work. The student 2 years ago, our valedictorian, she probably had about 800 grand. valedictorian had about $1 million on her own. On her own. The year before, a lot of last year's valedictorian's money was from an ROTC scholarship and from the Black Common App. The year before, it's because every week, and a lot of you know, and Griff knows that I'm not lying, her mother was here. She sat in the office. She would get about 7 or 8 transcripts and have me fill out recommendation sheets, and she was sending out scholarships. Earn the money to be at Ohio Wesleyan. And this is her sophomore year. She's doing great, doing really, really well. So you got to do the work. So where to get the scholarship information? The ones that we get are in the what? Where are they? Where's everything we do? Thank you. In the Google Classroom. Parents, you don't have access to the classroom, and that's PG County's fault. I'm sorry. But because there's a firewall up. But if you ask your younger person to give you access, you can get their passcode and get in, or they can simply pull it up and let you see. I did ask them at the, I think, the end of the school year and again at the beginning of this school year to share your email addresses. So if they haven't, you can get on them. I mean, have a conversation with them tonight about sharing your email address so that you have it. For senior parents, junior parents, I think I asked the same thing, that they share your email addresses so that what I send them, I can send you to. Scholarship information is there. I'm also going to ask a huge favor. If you have access to scholarships, please email us. There is no way with all that we have to do in a day that we have access to every scholarship around. We know some of the majors, and then the counseling, the district counseling department sends us a ton of information that we share with students, but there is no way that we know everything. And so we ask you to send us information. I will tell you this. So the scholarship season goes a little like this. This time of the year is the big money scholarships, that $20,000, the full ride, the Coca-Cola, the Ron Brown, the Gates, the new Gates scholarship just closed a few days ago. Those scholarships are going right now. Those are generally merit-based scholarships. So you're talking students with a GPA of 3.5, 3.6 and up, scores of about 1,100 and up, and those are the students who are usually applying for those scholarships. About mid-year, we hit a lot of the local scholarships, and that's all of your sororities and fraternities. New organizations in this area will offer scholarships. Another Links does one, Jack and Jill does one. Based, some are merit-based, some are just write an essay and you can get this. And then towards the end of the year, you get a lot more local scholarships as well. So there'll be a whole bunch who have due dates in December, January, February, and then a whole bunch that have due dates in like May. Okay, so be on the lookout for those. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's work. It's work. It is work. And we have some students who just, they don't want to do the work. I always tell a story about a student I had 2 years ago, my first year, wasn't even on my caseload. The Kappa Alpha Psi Scholarship is offered to boys at 5 separate high schools, 5. So the pool is really, really small. And I called him into my office and said, look, you had a really high grade point average and your SAT score is great. You got to do this. You can get this. And he literally came to my desk and was like, I said yes. And he was like, I'm good. Left the money on the table. How many of you heard about the Surrattsville Foundation? We have a couple. So we are the only high school, I'm gonna say it again proudly, stick my chest out, the only high school in Prince George's County that has a 501c3 organization attached to it. And it is our alumni together and raised a ton of money that they give directly back to the school. They have paid for us to take college tours. They have paid for supplies and classrooms. And every year they give scholarships to our students. And parents, I'm going to snitch on your children. We have to beg them to apply. So when you get information about the foundation scholarships, please make sure senior parents and junior parents, this is for you next year, please make sure that they take those applications, they fill them out, they write the essays, get the recommendations, and turn them in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this foundation information, do you get it in the Google Classroom, or you just send it out to them?
I will Google Classroom it, and I will email it. How many parents are in the email group I started? Because I sent out, good. Yeah, my husband's like, what you doing now? Because it's about 11 o'clock, I'm emailing folks. But we're going to continue to do that. And as I get more emails, I will add you to the group and continue to send those out. And hopefully I don't drive you crazy with my emails. But every time I give them something in the classroom, I'm going to send it to you as well so that everybody has it. And so that's the deal on scholarships. You're going to review your student aid report, contact the schools where you have interest. be realistic about loans. I know a lot of folks are afraid of loans, but I know for some of us, that's the only way we earn the degrees we have. Undergrad, I was good. I was an athlete. I was on track scholarship. Grad school, paying back the loan. So if for some of us, that's the only way we got the degree, and that's fine, but make sure that you're realistic about what you're taking. Because you want to make sure that you don't take a loan for $30,000 when you only need $2. Back to 30 with interest. Lots of interest. Ask questions and do your homework. Make sure you're an educated consumer for whatever you decide to do. The last one, this is from the district. I filed my FAFSA. Now what? Filed. Here's just some information on what to expect. Okay, what to expect. You ready? Okay. I'm going to turn it over now to our resident Maryland State and actually federal state aid expert. This is Isaiah Ellis. He works for MHEC, the Maryland Higher Education Commission, and he has just been a blessing to our department. Every time we call on him to come, he comes to share information with parents. So we are so glad you are here.
I am glad to be here.
Yes, and I don't know if you all got to peep him too. He was at the college fair sharing information. So he has all of that for you tonight, and it's free. All right, so parents, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Ellis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored and blessed to be here today to make sure that you guys have the information in person and live streaming to make sure you're making sound and informative decisions. One of the first things that I want to do before I dive into a little bit about myself and as well as the opportunities that do exist for you and your student is that I want parents to take a look at your student. I want you to look them right in their big bubbly eyes.
A little bit louder.
I want you to look at your student in their big bubbly eyes and tell them, I love you. And I'm here with you through all of the way. That's right? You feel confident. Now I would like you to look them back, bubbly eyes, and say, I love you too. And I do not expect you to pay a dime. What happened? It trailed off. They said, I got approach that you should do. A little bit about myself is I come from New York. Ourselves a lot, except for when you're a fan of the New York Knicks and the New York Jets. Then you just say, okay, I'm just dealing with hope. I started out, I graduated Hempstead High School, based in Hempstead, New York. I went to St. John's University. In the first semester, I realized with no financial aid background or training or helpful guidance that we owed a bill of $17,000. Not afford $17,000. In fact, I grew up on Franks and Beans and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We didn't even get the crunchy kind until I got later on in life. But we looked at those elements, leave St. John's. So after a year, I left St. John's and went to Nassau Community College, which was the best decision that I could have made. Because I was able to realize that I was able to get that college degree. So I transferred also to Stevenson University. Still, I did not attend a financial aid night, nor did I have a relationship with my financial aid officer. And I realized that a year later, I got a letter in the mail saying you have been cordially invited to a transfer scholarship banquet. Scholarship. The transfer scholarship was for $60,000 over 4 years. That was a 2.0. And I did not meet those requirements because I had missed the deadline. So deadlines are very, very important. And since then, I was a senior financial aid counselor at McDaniel. That you guys have the information you need to be successful, to make that informative decision. Today, you are going to learn the blueprint, as what was mentioned before. Now, many of you say, I'm trying to make sure that my student or my child does not have to go through that. And I'm going to tell you, students, as a married man, there's only one lady that can call my house multiple times during the day. If you don't know who she is, try your best not to know who she is. May wants her money. She wants her money. So when you look at these elements and you say to yourself, well, how can we try to avoid even these student loans? I want you to set your goals obtainable. You say it is something that's a goal and objective that you have to reach for, that you have to plan for, that you have to prepare for, but close enough for you to obtain it. Well, St. John's was within my grasp, but it wasn't obtainable because I couldn't afford it. So to some of the schools that you may look at may seem like, oh, we can get in, afford it. A lot of you also say to yourself, well, I don't want to go to this college. I'm okay with having the student loans that are so enormous that I don't really care at this point. I just want to complete. I just want to get in. That when you graduate, there are several things that you will encounter. Something called a four-letter word, 5 if you add in more or multiple, that none of us as adults like to do. Pay bills. The letter I was talking about. Give you a synopsis real quick, okay? Types of bills that you have to pay for. Raise your hand if you pay for your cell phone. You have to pay for that in a couple months if you're seniors. Raise your hand if you pay for electricity bill. Car note, gas, your own clothes, food, rent, mortgage perhaps. All of these elements paying for. But let me just let you know that you're not going to be able to pay these elements with a part-time job. You're going to have a good paying job that allows you to successfully do that, because one of the most important things about paying bills is that you have to pay yourself. Savings. You have to establish a 401k, basically a retirement plan. The average repayment monthly for students in the state of Maryland is $683. So bring that into perspective when you're looking at those elements and saying, I need to figure out how can I eliminate that component. I'm not going to come out of college earning $100,000. In some fields, maybe. If you like to be a dancer, you want to teach dance, I welcome you to do it because we need more teachers. But don't expect to come out earning about $90,000. To go into different fields, you have to start at the bottom and work your way up. That's how it works. So how can you pay for these amounts? And what do you have to consider or start saving for? Saving for close to $200,000 for an undergraduate degree. Because students, it would be 160, but typically you take 12 credits a semester and you give yourself for having an extra year in order to complete your post-secondary degree, which means you're graduating in 5 years. And to study, you don't plan to prepare, you don't plan to apply for any particular scholarship, you have to consider, wait a minute, how will I get $200,000? But she also stated that there was a lot of simplified or simple scholarships and grants out there. Well, there are. Dr. Pepper has a $100,000 scholarship if you take a video of yourself where you plan to be after graduating college and send it in. No. But how many of you have Instagram? How many of you watch Facebook Live? You love those videos, don't you? You get a trip over those, especially the funny ones when you're in the middle of church. Don't do that. I got jabbed in my side for doing that. But you look at these elements, so you wonder what else is out there. How many of you wear glasses? There's a scholarship for that. How many of you are left-handed? There's a scholarship for that. How many of you love to shop at Walmart? I raised my hand. Hilarious. There's the young man in the back. He says, my mom loves to shop at Walmart. We go there almost every day. At Safeway, Giant. How many of you love to spend $150 or $200 on those brand new Nikes? Or brand new bag? A second. You don't want a $200 bag with $0 in it. You want to spend $10 on the bag and have $100, $90 in it. It makes sense. It's basic economics. Anyway, you want to do all of these organizations issue. How many of you would love to go eat at McDonald's D's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. I'm making a couple of you hungry, aren't I? Woo! I want to go spend my $5 and $15 if you have five guys. You want to go spend your money. You want to make sure you get a good, nice, round, good food in your belly, right? Apply for any of their scholarships. Give them your money, but don't ask them for anything in return. A lot of these organizations have. In fact, how many of you remember Mr. Potato Head? You remember the G.I. Joe that couldn't move, the green one? I'm not talking about Toy Story. Hasbro and Mattel, who are two competitors which make that. Scholarships. How many of you love video games? You love to play them, right? You're really good in them, right? Call of Duty, NBA Madden, all of those. Tetris, Super Mario. Do y'all remember the Nintendo? You had to put the cartridges on. Y'all remember those, didn't y'all? Yeah, Sega Saturn, all of those. You get mad, you go like, man, it froze again. Now you had to, today it kind of loads up quicker, but we still be here right now. But anyway, Nintendo, all of these organizations such as Sony, who makes PlayStation. In fact, you can get paid for testing out video games. I had a friend earn over $10,000 this past year. As it was explained to you guys earlier, there was a student at this very high school that got close to $1 million. Look at her and say, I'm not her, I don't fit her profile. Well, let me tell you this. 2 other students out of Prince George's County were able to obtain over $1 million in grants and scholarships. They didn't have a 4.0. They didn't have a 3.7. They didn't have a 3.5. Scholarships that they applied for, the other gentleman she mentioned earlier that said, oh, I don't want to apply for that. So they were next up in line. Scholarships that they received, scholarship on the scholarship criteria was that you had to have a 3.7. But it just so happens with their 3.1 that they were just the highest in the list. And they received it. And it was for $10,000. So you look at these elements, you look at these wonderful opportunities, and you have to say to yourself, holding you back from applying for scholarships? Well, I can't find any. Well, students, let me ask then. How many times do you just settle on the first 2 pages of searching for scholarships and then you just tell yourself there's nothing out there? It's okay to be honest. I can tell you probably a lot. Ever bother to Google unique scholarships? They have scholarships for you to have what's called a milk mustache scholarship. Scholarship for duck calling. Like Aflac, Yeah, there we go. You're working on it. That's bravo. So you have these different kind of scholarships which are very, very unique. Your fingertips. Run into is that we always look at ourselves and we say, oh, okay, I got other things to do. I got better things to do, except when the bill comes due. Well, what types of other things that are out there? How many of you work? You like your job? Okay, that's just the honest answer. I have a job. And you go in and you go inside your job and you work and you get a paycheck and you look at your paycheck and the first thing you do is like that many taxes. I'm probably the only one, but help pay for services in the state. My agency, the Maryland Higher Education Commission, is an agency of the state, which means essentially we work for who? Exactly. My same agency administers over $100 million for over 20 financial aid programs. Some of our popular programs are the Educational Assistance Grant, which is $3,000. All you need to do in order to apply for that one is fill out what's called the federal free application for the federal student aid application. List a Maryland institution. Did I say apply? Did I say you were accepted? List. Because we're able to pull that information, evaluate it, and issue you an award letter if you're eligible. We also have something called the Guaranteed Access Grant, which is $18,400 for students with an unweighted cumulative GPA of 2.5. It does come with income requirements, criteria. However, if you're eligible for that particular program and you wish to go to a private college or university here in the state of Maryland, dollar for dollar, which means you're looking at $36,800. How many of us would love $36,800 in our bank account right now? You could be honest. You could be honest. If I had the money under this table right now, how many of us will be standing up here saying, "Go ahead, just go give it to me. It's okay." But to that point, we have also another program called the Legislative Scholarships, which encompasses the senatorial and the delegate programs. We allocate up to $9,000 per senator, per delegate, to hand out at their discretion these funds. Now, what's important to understand is that they have their own individual process or application. Senator out in Carroll County, all he wanted students to do was to come to a 4-hour seminar about the history of Maryland. And each student that showed up, he would have given them a scholarship on the spot. That's like you showing up here. Showing up, everybody's gonna walk out with not the disclaimer, fine print, not happening. But just legally, I had to put that out there. We were. How many of you would have been here at 2 o'clock in the morning for $2,000? She was like, she put her hands up like, look, you don't have to tell me twice. We'll probably see tents for days. But how many people, how many children, how many students do you think showed up? 0. So sometimes you can make the process very simple. The senatorial is one of our favorite programs because you can use it for half-time, full-time, graduate degrees, vocational schools.
Completed to access that money.
Oh, that's a great question. You have to have completed the FAFSA. See the going theme here? See that? And the good thing about it is that it automatically renews for up to 8 semesters. The delegate is a little different. Even though it goes through the same process, you do not have to complete the FAFSA in order to obtain it or apply for it. You have to apply for it each year, though. So it doesn't renew automatically. You want to just bank on one particular scholarship and hope that you get it? No, you want to try to maximize your bucks. You want to maximize your opportunities to help you pay for your college education. Scholarships. If you are approved through our academic common market unit, you can take these particular scholarships out of state with you and receive in-state tuition at that public out-of-state institution. That's a savings of approximately $7,000. About you, I'm not sure about you, but I love saving money. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. I get excited when the coupons come. Cut them out of the newspaper and everything. I'm old school, so what? So when you look at these opportunities, I want you to even think outside of the box. And you want to say to yourself, well, what else is out there? I have more to offer. What it is, there is more information to offer. How many of you love to dance? Great, 1. How many of you can't dance? And there's a scholarship for that for us. Wedding, and we were doing my little 2-step. I was breaking loose. And then the cameraman and videographer came by. She's like, baby. No. I like the video the way it is. I admit that. That's just one of my, unfortunately, shortcomings. It's okay. I was born with information. Now, But it's a scholarship called Two Left Feet. Like that for us. You think about the magazines. Facebook has a scholarship. Twitter has a scholarship. You'll be surprised of how much money is out there. Google it. So I challenge you, when you go home, I want you to get fancy with it. The moment you leave here, and what I mean the moment you leave here, when you walk out these two doors and you make a right or a left, and you go out the high school doors and you're in the parking lot, I want you to look at the models of the cars. As you can see. I know you got flashlights on the phones. They're a little different from back in the day. I remember Nextel to church, and I had beeper and pagers. They had to pay on like pay phones. I'm not sure if you remember that. 25 cents. Click 1-800-collect. I am not accepting that. Anyway, when we walk out the door and you go in the parking lot, check out the models. You go out the side of the parking lot and you drive past gas stations and retailers. Write them all down. Thing you can see, you write it down. When you get home, you look in your closet at all of the merchants that you got your clothes from. Write it all down. When you turn on the TV, look at the TV. Heck, look at Apple. They give scholarships. Look at your computers, your phones, your cable service provider, your cell phone providers, refrigerator. Write them all down. Oodles and noodles. I love it like chicken flavored, put a little hot sauce on it. It's the bomb, right? Add a little obey on it. I add a little obey on mine. It's really good. But I'm gonna tell you right now, all of this information is simply because when you get to college, that you are going to eat routinely. If you love going home and you love that fried chicken, those and greens, collard greens, whoo. Or you love those Five Guys, $15 a pop. You're like, Mommy, come on, bring me some Chick-fil-A. Whatever. Guess what? No más. No more. Because cheese sandwiches right out of the toaster is going to be one of your favorite. If you want a good meal, you better make the dining hall hours. Oodles and noodles are going to be your quick go-to on a night that you have to study all night. It's only $1 for a six-pack. You're going to fall in love, in deep love. And I'm talking about unquestionable love. We're going home on spring break and getting that good meal. Or when you get sent a meal in the mail or dropped off to you. When someone says, can I get a little bite? She's like, no, you're not going to get a bite. You have to think about it. You have to get ready for this type. When you think that while you're having conversations with your friends about the new, oh, I got these Legend jeans. I got X, Y, and Z that cost $150. No. Sweatpants and shorts are going to be your favorite attire. Class in the morning, you're not thinking about jeans, what you're going to wear. You're like, it's good. I'm just going to go ahead and just go to class. Because no one's going to care about what you're wearing. Ladies and men are going to have ponytails with long hair. Sometimes you're not going to brush your hair. Sometimes you're not going to brush your teeth. I hope you brush your teeth. Do when you leave out your room. But you also have to prepare because you may be in your single room now, but you may have to pair up with another person. 2 other people, 3 other people to save money. When you look at it and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to have my own room, that may be out of your budget. And the later that you start preparing for college financially, that you have. So you have to get prepared. That if you used to pass the gas in your room, you got to learn how to open the window. Just start practicing it now. Just saying. So you have to think about these things. You have to also think about the transportation, where you're going to go while you're in school. Do they have a mobile system? Do they have Uber and Lyft? If you're in Utah, They don't have that as robust as one of the major cities. If you're gonna have a car park, you gotta pay to park, either on the street or you have to get a parking permit from the school. You got to think about your personal expenses. Guess what? You got to pay for those toothbrush and toothpaste, for the soap. You don't want to run out. You don't want to run out of toilet paper either. Trust me, been there. You have to pay for these things. And even when you think about the tuition, there are classes that also have fees that may be attached to them, like science, like math, like your physical education courses. When a school looks at it, this is what they use to determine what's the cost of attendance to going to our school. And in saying, well, you can't receive more than this amount in this type of year. For example, all we just stated, a school can look at that and say, okay, this is what it costs $40,000 to go to our school. They're not talking just about the tuition. They're talking about everything. But you can't receive more than $40,000 in terms of scholarships and grants than that $40,000. If it exceeds it, they're going to send it back to the organization. That's what you have to plan for. That's what it means when we say that the cost of school, you just got to get out of your mind that that's just tuition. It's not just tuition. It's so much more. Situations you're going to run into. Ma, I can't get home. I was at a party. What? No, sorry, that's going to happen sometimes. I was out, because you're not really going to tell them I'm at a party. I was out with a couple of friends, and I don't have money to get home. For that. Word of advice, especially to younger people. I'm only 22. That's a lot, but still. Do not leave your room. I don't care how tempted you feel with no money. You leave your room and you go far away. It's very difficult if something happens to get back. Sometimes you go to a place you don't get cell coverage. You lose your cell phone. Things happen. You do not go with no money. You got that. That's a safety thing I wanted you guys to know. Same thing I would tell my daughter when she gets older. That's just me. But you have to plan for these things. And one of the most important things that you have, I want you to look around this place. Library. Guess what? You're going to have to pay for your books. Books aren't free. Supplies aren't free. Average cost of a book is $187. Oh, that's just for one course. You're like, man. You can get the book online. You can rent the book from the library. You can also just take in the class to get the book from them. But I guarantee you this. You can buy the book in the bookstore too. But you trade it back in at the end of the semester, you're not going to get the same value even if you bought it online. I still remember to this day, I bought a book for $212. We didn't even use the book for $90. You can tell I was a little mad still, just a little bit. I don't like losing money. So understand that this is the whole picture. Don't want you to be afraid because you have multiple of resources, not just where you're sitting, but you have it right here. Here, as she stated before, there's on the Google Classroom. There's also a list of resources that you can utilize your path. I don't want you to get in a situation where you think you're too good for the path. You get that? So you want me to say that again? I don't want you to be in a situation where you think you're too good for the path. This right now. To every single Mark Zuckerberg, there's everybody else. Go Barack Obama, there's everybody else. The moment you think that you're too good for the path, put yourself back. So I challenge you. For every hour that you spend doing the things that you like to do, I want you to apply for as many scholarships as possible. I want you to apply for at least 1 to 2 scholarships, in fact. To apply for at least 10 scholarships every other week. And guess what? We're going to get a little practice in too. For every single hour that you chose to do something else, instead of applying for scholarships, I want you to withhold one thing. Whether that be allowance, whether that be a ride somewhere, whether it be the phone for a day, phone for a week, phone for a week and a half. You to understand this. I want you to understand this, and especially for the people that are streaming. Those elements, because you have the benefit of immediate gratification. But guess what? When you pay bills, gratification when the lights are still on. When you pay bills, you get the immediate gratification when your key still works in the door to get in the apartment. And it makes it to destination B. I had a hoopty back in the day. For you to know, another story for another time. When you pay bills, you get what you paid for. In a way, your phone, having you in a situation now, you're not going to get it unless you earn it. That's your form of a transaction. So I challenge you, when you go home today, to apply for at least 10 scholarships every other week. I challenge you to get over $100,000 of scholarship money of January. Yes. How many of you think it's possible? Raise your hand. Anything's possible, right? I want to say it. Anything is possible. If I believe it. But it starts with you believing yourself. And I'm going to end with this. The hardest question to ask is, who are you? It's going to be the question you're going to have to answer throughout your life. Job interview, what do we ask? Tell me about yourself. If you're going out and you're talking to a friend on a date, well, sure. They're asking, who are you? When you go out on an elevator and you're trying to give your elevator speech to try to get someone to do something for you, why should I believe you? When you look at most of these essays that are required for a number of these scholarships, you have to realize that they're going to ask the question. And I'll end with this. It's a lot of money, isn't it? How many of us would love $7 billion right now? Sounds good, doesn't it? That's how much money was left on the table in terms of the grants and scholarships last year. Do you want me to say that again? $7 billion was left on the table last year in terms of grants and scholarships. So you're thirsty, and there's water right here. I don't want that. Give me the bottle. It'll you'll satisfy that thirst for a little bit, but there's abundance of water right here. You take these resources, take advantage of them. So we're texting. Hope you're texting these great ideas to your friends to get them inspired. I'm just joking. I just want to get you nervous. So nervous is, oh my God. I want you to take advantage of these. I want you to go to mdgo4it.org.
That's on booklet.
Which booklet are we talking about?
The state of Maryland.
Yes, it's on the back of the state of Maryland. But for people at home, I'm gonna tell you it's md4it.org. Org. IT. mdgo4it.org. 4, itgo.org. I want you to go there. I want you to Google unique scholarships. Okay? By show of hands, how many of you will go to your prom in a duct tape outfit? What? Nobody's with that? How about for $4,000? Oh, one person? That's it? Well, I'm gonna tell you this. 2. I'm gonna tell you this. The average balance that students owe when going to school was close to $1,742. So just imagine you asked every parent, aunt, cousin, best friend, friend of a friend, friend of a friend of a friend, money, and all that was left was that $1,042. And then you look back and you realize that you could have been eligible to receive. That's the feeling that's going to pain you for as long as you live. Prepare just for tomorrow. Prepare for the day after. Okay? Well, sure.
So automatically from the FAFSA,
Mm-hmm.
and when we get our Maryland State ID, that's you all are gonna pull candidates from there for some of these scholarships. Is that correct?
Excuse me. As for some of these scholarships, as long as you list the Maryland as one, or Maryland College or University, it could be a cosmetology school or a mechanical school, trade school, as long as you list it itself, we will pull that information and we will evaluate it, and then we're going to send out a notification to the student, letting them know if they have been awarded. But that comes from the FAFSA ID, or the FSA ID will help you complete the FAFSA, because it's assigned, it's an electronic signature to the FAFSA. So once that's complete, we'll be able to proceed application. Okay? Sure.
Does the MDCAPS have a specific?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. That was a setup. I'm glad. You. Is there a date to complete or create an MDCAPS account? And the reason why I'm glad you asked that, because I particularly left that off in hopes that someone would notice that. So you did great. So the MDCAPS account is an account that you're going to utilize. Create. It's free. You can create it at any time. It does not have a deadline unless you've been awarded. You have to go on the MDCAPS account to accept the award. That's how you accept the award or reject it. Keep this in mind, that you have 2 weeks to accept the award.
So I'm gonna jump in real quick, and here's the counselor piece of advice. This is free. Not gonna charge you. Usually I charge for this. So we said this last year, and we'll continue to say it. Please set up a family account, email account. Do not, and I have a teenager, so I think I can say this freely. Do not trust your child to monitor what's going on with MDCAPS, because it is a 2-week turnaround, and I have seen children lose thousands of dollars because they don't check their email. We told parents last year, we're going to tell you guys again this year, set up a family email account that you use for college scholarships, for FAFSA, for MDCAPS. You can even use it for college applications. And it can be, like, my last name is Simpkins, so for my son, it will be simpkinsfamily@gmail.com. So every time he does anything that is college related, every time I do something that's college related, we will use the same email address where he has access and I have access. Be monitoring what's going on. I have children who have missed college acceptances and money from the state of Maryland because they don't check their email. They don't check it. Even though we tell them, I went into classroom guidance, I've been classroom guidance for the last 2 weeks, telling seniors and juniors, you should be checking your email every day. And they're like, and then we email them, oh, I didn't get that. So please, family email account. Business life rating.
And one of the things to also remember is that when you apply for different colleges and universities, you still have to go back into your MDCAPS account and notify us where you plan to attend, so we know where to send the money. Okay? Receive the money. You said I already accepted it, but it's not showing up on their list. We're not going to give the opportunity of another school to see that a student is receiving money to go to another school. We don't do that. So unless you update it, that allows them to get their list and for them to receive your name on their list so they can receive the money for you to continue to attend. One of the things that students forget, you hit accept. It doesn't stop the process because you accepted the money. Now the money has to be dispersed into your account for your account to technically be closed. So if there are any documents that are being requested from you, from us, or from the institution, get those documents back to them as soon as possible, especially if they come with deadlines. Because if not, then your account would not be finalized and you may or award. How many students lose their scholarships? And just a little tidbit real quick, just so you know something real quick. When it comes to scholarships, there's a difference between a one-year scholarship and a year scholarship. If you receive $10,000 for your first year, you owe that much money a couple of years, however long the student is enrolled in school for, how long typically scholarships go for now in that particular institution. So you have to ask them or read the fine print. Is this $10,000 scholarship for 5 years, 4 years, 8 semesters? Ask that question because you don't want to be left out the junior year and senior year as well. Okay? So come get your app. You'll go home, create your MDCAPS account, create it now. If that works for your family, make sure you do that as soon as possible. Get that out of the way. So because the awards will start being made right after the turn of the March 1st deadline. You don't want to be the one not to get there. You got to get it at all. Last but not least, if you're seniors. Okay, this is the class of 2018. I heard it was all right class, right? She says last best class. Well, whew, that means my class is still good. Now, our parents of juniors can raise them too. Sophomores, parents of middle schoolers, to elementary school kids. Okay? Just let you notice that you're going to be really frustrated. Technically, when it comes down to searching for scholarships and grants, start in the 3rd grade. I know a lot of people are like, oh, man. That's the truth. So that tells you how much you need to catch up. And I want to put that into perspective because as soon as you think that you're ahead of the game, it always comes up. There's no sense in sailing on a concrete floor. Got to get enough water in between so you can keep on sailing. So thank you. If you have any other questions, let me make sure I grab everybody. Sure.
Do you have any contact information?
Oh, great question. I love these questions. You can contact me on YouTube. No, I'm just joking. I do have business cards. If you want, make sure there's a way to contact me at this point, especially when we're getting ready for FAFSA. However, I must say, here, let's just play. Just give me about an hour. I just need some time to recover. You know, I'm a very emotional sports fanatic, so just give me some time. But I'm just messing. Just go ahead and email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I got my card. You don't have to worry about writing it down. Sure. Yeah, you typically do if the student is considered a dependent, then his parent's income is required. Simple. There's ways you can go right to the IRS data retrieval tool. If you had completed your taxes already, it operates on a prior year. So this year you're using 2015 information. You can just go ahead and enter your PIN and it'll automatically populate all of your income, so you don't have to worry about going line by line. Okay, so I love that question. Sure. Do you have to do a FAFSA although you know you're not going to qualify? Let me say it like Denzel. So, to answer your question is absolutely know what you may be eligible for. The reason being is that when I was a senior financial aid counselor, I came across a family that had about $713,000. That's what their family income. After all of the FAFSA affords you, their EFC, their expected family contribution, which is not the amount that you have to pay for the bill, it's just the index number that organizations such as mine and the federal government and the institution look at to determine how much aid you may be eligible for. So basically, everybody that has 1,000 EFC will be eligible for this, 2,000 be eligible for this, 2,100 be eligible for this. That's what it's used for, not the amount that you have to pay. You have to pay for that. Their EFC.
Can you stop right there? Can you repeat that? Because I have parents who, when they see that EFC, they like pass out, call me, and then pass out again.
Okay.
I want to make sure.
Okay.
I'm serious. Did you explain that EFC is not what you're going to pay?
Right.
Okay.
So or the expected family contribution is an index number that organizations such as mine, organizations such as the federal government or institutions will use to determine how much of aid you may be eligible for. For example, if you have a 1,000 EFC, they look and say, okay, it may 1,000 equals $10,000 of a scholarship, 2,000 you can get $8,000 of a scholarship or a grant or whatever the case may be. So they're matching it up on a chart, how much aid or financial aid you may be eligible for. You have not even enrolled at that institution to even generate a bill. They're just trying to tell you, okay, this is how much aid you're eligible for, and all of that aid combined minus the tuition, we'll see if you actually owe any money or not. With that said, when it comes down to what I have seen with very high income that had very low EFC, because some of the parts of their family, they were self-employed. So there's several allowances that are taken into account. And when people say that they may not be eligible for any financial aid, technically, those loans are part of financial aid. I'm just saying technically. I know we want to run away from that. I'm just saying technically. The loans are part of financial aid, and the unsubsidized loan does not treat income as such. That if you want to apply even for the senatorial scholarship, they're going to require the FAFSA on file. Realistically, get any money. The third thing is that some of these schools operate on tiers, which they mean that basically the person with the highest EFC will get the lowest amount of scholarship, but nonetheless, they'll receive a scholarship. That's on file. For an example, remember when I stated that I lost out on that I'm not sure if you were here, but when I stated that I lost out on $60,000 from the institution that I went to down here in Maryland, all I had to have was a 2.0. It was required that I had completed the FAFSA by the deadline of February 15th. On income, they were just trying to say, okay, let me see your EFC, and then we're going to go from there. However, I missed out. That was their application process. That amount of money. So when you guys are coming across the FAFSA, complete it anyway. Act like you're going for the most money possible. The worst somebody can tell you is that you owe a balance. And then what you'll do is that you evaluate that and compare it against other institutions. And then when you can look at those multitude of institutions, then you sort of take somebody's suggestion and then work off of that. I tell you what to do. I can just sort of tell you that you should follow some directions. So great question, by the way. Love it. Did you guys know what EFC is now? You feel comfortable with that? So when you get the student aid report, which is generated after you complete the FAFSA itself, it will tell you if you don't have any errors, what federal aid you are eligible for. That's not the award letter. It's just telling you aid you're eligible for. You need to wait till the institution sends you an award letter to tell you exactly what else you may be eligible for. You're not going to wait till they send you an award letter. You're going to make sure that you're still doing whatever you can to secure additional funding. Your parent your guardian, your grandparents, your friend, money, and especially Sally Mae don't have to lend you any money either. Because I'm telling you right now, she gonna come for money. She gonna come for money. Okay?
If I can throw in something real quick.
Sure.
So, I'm gonna move over. I keep forgetting that there are folks people watching. So this is one of the reasons why we're pushing a number of the seniors to do applications early. If your financial aid is done, you come October 9th and we do your FAFSA. You've done your MD-CAPS account, you have your FAFSA done, and then you apply to school on the 26th. And let's say by December 1st, you know all the schools you've been accepted to. Some of them may be able, as soon as the FAFSA deadline comes, be able to start processing your financial aid package, which means you know much earlier in the year what number you need to be shooting for. You need to be hustling and working to get to that money. And so that's one of the reasons why we're going to do it. I will talk individually to some students because there are some students who need the grades from first and second quarter in order to be accepted to school. Students, I'll tell them, let's wait until January maybe. But for a majority of students, we want you applying in the fall. We want you meeting those deadlines in the fall, those late October, November, December deadlines. Okay, because the earlier you know, the quicker it is to kind of get that financial aid piece in order.
Okay. So remember that. Also remember when you get to the point of prom, the last thing that you want to be having over your head is a bill that you can't pay for. College is asking for you to pay for certain things, because then you're going to be looking at your prom dress cost comparison to the cost of a deposit. Yes, you have to pay a deposit for your room. A deposit. Some schools have different terms. They also have with the admission deposit that you may have to pay. So you also have to budget about $1,000 with that alone.
Yes, can I add that in? About this at a counselor meeting, because there were several students last year who received full ride scholarships to schools, but their parents couldn't afford the room deposit. Yeah, couldn't afford the room deposit or the admissions deposit. That's new. Because I remember having to cover a room deposit even as a scholarship athlete, but that admissions deposit, that's the new little one they're throwing in now. And so there are some students who that $1,000 was insurmountable for them. And so there were a couple kids I know last year who were looking at not being able to accept a full ride because they could not do that. So parents, please be aware that those bills are coming, and those may not be covered by the scholarships that your children have won. Know that those bills are coming, and ask up front when you're at a college fair or when your child does the application, call admissions and say, how much is your room deposit? How much is this? So that you know what those fees. You would never buy a car without looking at that sticker. All of those questions before you send the application or before you say this is definitely where we're going.
Also, belly up that is also ask if I know they're going to be dealing with the Black Common Act pretty soon. But also ask different institutions if they have fee waiver or application fee waivers available for you. Someone can ever tell you is no. Yeah,
and ask. I would call. Hey, can we get a waiver? Let them tell you no. But a lot of schools, if you just call and ask, they will give you a waiver code application fee. If your child is on free or reduced lunch, then with the fee, with the SAT fee waiver, they get 4 free application fee waivers. SAT fee waiver, they get 4 college application fee waivers. If you have a financial situation, please email myself or email Ms. Irvin if your child is on her caseload directly, because there are NACAC waivers, and that's the National Association for Counselors. We can actually write a statement for you to get a waiver from a university. All you have to do is email us and let us know. We're not gonna give you business. What's going on, girl? Just let me know. Okay, money's a little tight. Can you help me? And we'll write the statement and then send that in so that, and we send that with the application material so that there's a waiver in place for us. Okay, so please, all you have to do is ask. Really, all you have to do is ask, and it's out there for you. It is definitely out there for you.
And I need one phone that has service.
Come on, come on,
if I gotta pick one, come on. Use it. Now.
Do I have to stand in front of
Yeah, you have to stand. Come on.
Yes, be on TV.
You ready? Ready? Now, I want you to bring up your internet. You got a couple bars here?
I have all my bars.
Yeah, boy, your bars, all right. I just want to make sure, okay?
I'm ready.
All right, so I want someone, what we're going to look up is what's called the endowment of institutions. Now, the endowment is separated from the admissions office because when you deal with the admissions office, they typically award you out of their particular budget that's been budgeted for them, the amount that the alumni and other interested parties pay back into to develop internal scholarships for the institutions. For these scholarships, because they don't know about them and they don't go to the financial aid office because they can be quite specific. They're looking for students or female, male, 6'2" and above that loves to, let's say cricket or things like that. It's very difficult for financial aid officers to identify 20,000 students, 10,000 students that meet that criteria. So they count on students coming into the office, asking them for their endowments, okay? That said, I need somebody to give me an institution. Howard University. We don't Howard Community College. Okay, you gotta be specific, okay? Now, I need you to type in Howard University endowment. You have some very nice nails. Babe, if you're watching this, I was just complimenting you. Okay, so how much do you think that Howard has in their total endowment? That's a good number. How much do they have?
685.8 million.
Okay. Another college or university. Sure, you want to say it again?
685.8 million.
Okay, so give me another institution. Bowie State. Now, what is your number? $1 million? Okay, see what Bowie State has. Say it.
22.99 million.
Okay, let's try Northwestern. How much do you think Northwestern has? Give me a number. Give me 300 plus million. Okay, what do we have?
9.648 billion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Give a round of applause. So that was with a B, by the way. Yeah. So when we say out there, there's no joke when we say there's money out there. Really, the first step in anything is, so we went from hundreds of million to 9.9 plus billion. So that's part of what you do. You look up those institutions. Let me see their endowments. Financial aid officer. When she wasn't joking when she told you about those Starbucks cards, because man, I need some coffee in the morning. And say, hey, look, be friends with them. Because the more they know that your student is out there, go over and beyond. Because if I come across as when I was a senior financial aid counselor, the biggest increase that I ever did was from 5,000 to 32,000. Just keep that in mind from student negotiating. Look at it. If I know the student, I'm going through the book, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Well, I'm going online, and when our databases, I'm like, wait a minute. That means Trevor. Let me just email them real quick. They might be eligible for this. But is that little bit of energy that may make the biggest difference?
Statement about that. I have an alum, Surrattsville alum, master's in fact from NYU, started at Bowie State, and some students called me right before the beginning of second semester in tears because her mom could not come up with the money for her to go back to school. I knew someone who worked in the financial aid office, one of my aunt's girlfriends, and so I called her and I said, look, one of my babies is up there. What can you do? And she said, what's her data? What are her numbers? And I told her what her GPA was, told her how great a kid she was. She said, well, give her my email address. They emailed within about 2 weeks. I won't say the baby's name, but she had the money to cover the rest of her tuition. A phone call and a couple of emails to somebody who sits at the desk and determines who gets what money. So make sure it's not just you knowing them, Make sure they know, you know. And that's the main, the establishing of relationships. And I'm going to say, because we work with the students on I'm from PG County. I'm sorry, Prince George's County. So I tell them the PG County stank. I know how to give it better than anybody I know. Our babies, that when you are interacting with folks, you want to make sure that you're coming with a smile, interacting positively, and that you're doing everything you can to maintain connection and relationship. That you're reading the email before you click send. Upset, bothered, or a little irritated, that you take a breath before you start the conversation. And if the relationship is damaged, it's done. So we want to make sure that as we're moving outside of the building, and the relationships are going to determine whether or not we have money to pay for college, whether or not we get into college or graduate school, that we're doing everything we can to maintain them. And so please make sure, I was shocked, because I figured it would be as easy as a phone call, but it was. So get to know the financial aid officer, get to know professors, well, students. Make sure, I'm serious. Go in there. I hung out in professors' offices because I knew if I'm here, I can do research, I can get experience, I might get an internship. We're gonna have a relationship. You're gonna write a recommendation, and you also be able to find me. Money. So look at the best.
Oh, you're awesome. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Mrs. Simpkins.
No, can we give Mr. Ellis a round?
Thank you.
So what are we doing on October 1st? Thank you. What are we going to do within the next couple of days? What accounts are we going to create? FSAID and MD CAPS. We're going to create both of those. Remember, FSAID is for both parent and student. MD CAPS is just for student. My advice, do what you want, but my advice is use that family account. Use that family account. My 13-year-old would lose. I don't want to say what he would lose if I wasn't right behind him. So please make sure that if it's not a family account, that you at least have access to the account. Okay, yes.
On the common application.
Yes.
55 schools, but suppose you're not interested, you just pick the ones that you're interested in?
Well, all of them are going to get your information.
Okay.
All of them are going to get your information. And then the ones that you are interested in, you can make direct contact with, or they'll send you the acceptance or not, or send you the scholarship offer.
Now, suppose you have a talent on their application to indicate that you would be looking to, play an instrument. Is it somewhere there to let them know that,
So I'm gonna give an example. So let's say your child is in the band. If 4 of the schools that you're interested in applying to are on the Common Black application, fill it out. And let's say one of them is, I'm gonna pull Morgan State because they're on there. So let's say it's Morgan State. Then I would make direct contact with the band director at Morgan State and say, hi, I have a child who's at Surrattsville High School. They're in the band. Ms. Dent is their band director because she has amazing relationships with all the band directors in the area. And I would let them know, my child just did the Common Black application. So they have an application into Morgan. And meet with you and talk about their prospects in the band at Morgan State. Set that meeting up and go have that meeting, because they may be able to help you get in. And not only get in, but once you get in, they may help you get some money. That's a phone call outside of the Black Common App. Let me just say this real quick and then we'll close. I don't want to keep you too late. Benefits of the Common application and the Common Black application are that you get to apply to multiple schools with either one application or one application and one fee. Benefit. That's the benefit. Because a lot of these schools, you're going to pay $40, $50, $60, $70 per school to apply. $50 with us, and 51 of them get your stuff. So you can make the choice. So my thing is this: if there are either 2 or more of the schools you're interested in on the Common Black app, use the application. Honey. You asked about the Common App. The Common application is different. The Common App is for students who have schools on that list. And there are, I think, 430 some schools on the Common App list. You want to look for the schools, only like 10 or 11 in Maryland. You want to look for the list of schools, and I think I just added it into the room. It's in the Google Classroom. I put it in there. So look at those schools, and if 2 or more, don't do it if it's only 1. If 2 or more of the schools you're interested in are on that list, use it, because that means 1 application, 2 schools. It's just easier for you. It's easier for you. Thank you guys so much, because I know what it means as a mama. Somebody had to take my child to football practice, so I know what it means to be here on a weeknight to get information. Thank you all so much for coming out. I will see your students in the Google Classroom and Classroom Guidance, and I'll see you via email or phone call or drop-in visit. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching.